Hey guys, Chris here, and welcome to the Real EV Talk, the live stream where we do real talk about real EVs. So if you're new here, thank you so much for stopping by. If you're not new here, well, thank you very much for stopping by. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and click that subscribe button down below and also hit the like button down below. We are going to try to get this live stream up to 150 likes. Hopefully we will have a lot of people watching the live stream today. We're doing this on a Monday. Last week we did this on a Tuesday and the numbers weren't as good as the week prior where we did it on a Monday. So we were back to Mondays. Tuesday was just, a little bit of anomaly, but we're gonna do this on Mondays from now on. So guys, today we are talking about the Ford F-150 Lightning versus the Chevy Silverado EV. These two are very, very exciting EVs, and yeah, in a lot of countries, pickups, especially big pickups, are very popular. Of course, North America, the United States, Canada, and also Mexico, they sell a lot of pickups over there. But people may not know that here in Norway, pickups are also very popular. I think when it comes to Europe, Norway is probably one of the countries where pickups are the most popular. Probably, I'm guessing, they're popular in Sweden and also in Finland. So if you're Swedish, if you're Finnish, let me know if pickup trucks are popular in your country. And are we talking about small pickups, or are we talking about large pickups, or just talking about pickups in general? So guys, welcome to the live stream. We are now live and hopefully, yeah, we're gonna have a fun live stream today, a fun live broadcast talking about the Ford F-150 versus the Chevrolet Silverado EV. So hit that like button, guys, and also if you want to ask me a specific question while we get the live stream going, a question you want me really to answer, you can donate to the channel with using the, what's that called? Super chat button. Donate a small amount, a big amount, and that will be highlighted here for me on the chat. And I will most definitely be dedicating some extra time for that question. So if that's something you want to do, it really helps out the channel a lot. You will get to ask me a question that you may otherwise not be able to ask me. So, it's appreciated either way. But okay, guys, let's jump into today's topic, which was probably last week's or this week's big news. The Ford F-150 Lightning pricing was announced, models was announced, trims and variants, all of that was announced. But then, only a few days later, Chevy pulled a fast one and they, well, revealed the Silverado EV, which I think just came out of left field for a lot of people. I was not expecting to see a Silverado EV. So this was kind of cool. This is kind of cool. Ford and Chevy have been battling with their pickup trucks for the longest time, several decades. And, the most sold vehicle in the United States, not truck, most sold vehicle, considering cars also, is the Ford F-150, which I think is closely followed by the Chevrolet Silverado. But I mean, like at peak years, they sold almost 1 million of those a year, which is insane. And I think the most sold cars in the same peak years were something like the Toyota Camry with around 500,000 sales. So pickups have been outselling the best-selling cars about 2-1 in the United States. So amazing amount of pickups are sold there. But as I said in the intro, here in Norway, pickup trucks are also very, very popular. So I think today's topic will not only appeal to my viewers from, the United States, from Canada, other places here in Europe also, but especially Norwegian viewers. And I was just reading an article before I jumped in, doing some research for this live stream, that there has been a lot of, demand and questions and requests about the F-150 Lightning here in Norway. And maybe the waiting list will be long. So that's kind of interesting. So we are now live, guys. Yes, thank you so much. We are at 15 likes. Hit that like button if you guys want to, well, support the channel. And yeah, so we're just gonna jump into some of the stats here. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna collapse this. We're gonna make this smaller. So here we have it, guys. This is the Ford F-150. And this is the front end look. So I mean, this was revealed like last summer. People were on YouTube, you know, MKBHD, Marquez Brownlee had this on his channel. That's where I first saw it, which was really, really cool. And I think we are now moving into a brand new era when it comes to electric cars. So first we had these small EVs, you know, we had the Things, we had the Smarts, we had these small, just kind of impractical electric cars. And then we got the the small EVs like the Volkswagen e-Golfs, the Nissan Leafs, Volkswagen e-Ups. Of course, we also got the Tesla Model 3. And then we started getting more mainstream stuff, and then, SUVs and stuff like that. But now we are getting pickup trucks, full-size pickup trucks from the world's two biggest manufacturers of pickup trucks, Ford and Chevy. And this is interesting because this is not only for private application, but a lot of commercial application. A lot of people who work use pickup trucks. And as I said here in this video several times, and also if you're from Sweden or if you're from Finland or other European countries, let me know if pickup trucks are popular in your country, because I'm really interested in that, because here in Norway, pickup trucks are very, very popular. Especially I remember growing up in the 90s, early 2000s, like you would see especially like Chevrolet Silverados with diesels everywhere, and also big, Chevy Tahoes and also Suburbans. These were very popular cars because these were classified in Norway as a light truck. So having a total weight of above 3.5 tons, between 3.5 and 7.5 tons, meaning that you didn't have to pay taxes, you only had to pay VAT. So these cars were comparatively cheap compared to, other big cars. So these were really popular. And also pickup trucks are used for commercial applications a lot here in Norway. In Norway we have a few big cities. I live in Oslo, and the Oslo metropolitan area is about 20, more than like 25% of the population lives here. But then most of the population, when not considering other cities like Bergen and Trondheim and Stavanger, most of the population is just, scattered across rural area. And even like in cities like Bergen and Stavanger, once you get to the countryside, it's very rural and people drive pickup trucks. So a funny thing is that it's snowing. It's really cold outside here. It's not really cold. It's like minus a few degrees Celsius. But we have a lot of snow here in Oslo. So I grew up in Western Norway, in Bergen. And the plowing vehicles here are usually big trucks, big trucks, like MAN and Volvo trucks. And then they are tractors. But in Bergen, where I'm from, the plowing vehicles are usually pickup trucks, so Ford F-150s, Chevy Silverados, Dodge Rams. So they are used by landscaping companies, usually in the summertime, to haul their gear, but the landscaping companies in the summertime, do landscaping. But in the wintertime, there's no landscaping, so usually they do other business like plowing and snow plowing and stuff like that. So that is very interesting. So let's see if we have some interesting comments here. It's called the F-150, Ford F-150. Didn't I say F-150? F-150, yes, F-150. Lars Petter, I think a lot of those Americans is going to be very disappointed when they realize they will lose a lot of range when towing. I don't know. If the manufacturers just market this correctly, they should not be disappointed. Let's see. They don't give range estimates for different loads and tow weights. No, I mean that's kind of hard, like doing all that testing. But that's what we're gonna do. Once these vehicles come here to Norway, and maybe I go to the U.S. to test some of these vehicles this summer or next summer, I have ideas for doing some really cool tests. Yeah. Lars Petter, it looks like the Chevy will be better. Charging speed is 350 kilowatts versus Ford's 150 kilowatts. So I've written a few stats. We're going to go through some of the articles here. So it's going to be quite interesting. No bigger grill than BMW. Aaron Stark, I like the trunk. Very impressive. So the frunks on these are huge. I mean, the frunks on both of these are about the size of a big trunk on a other, a normal EV. So Tom Tom Pels in Thailand. Yeah, Thailand, I think trucks are popular, but big trucks. Chris Daring, EV pickups are status only, not good for serious loads. EV pickups are status only. I don't think it's status only. I think as the world is moving into EVs, these EVs are at the point where they are now. We're going to go through the stats, but also as these get better, they're going to get really good. And also, towing and loading an electric vehicle, it's not the weight isn't the big hinder, it's the aerodynamics. So having that, torquey motor, having, those big battery packs, I think they're going to be efficient in that way, but we'll have to see. JR had to park in Oslo at Palais. Yeah. Hard to park in Oslo with an F-150. Yes, 10,000 F-150, 4.5 kilos on the hook. Chris Daring, let's see an F-250 or 350 EV. Those are going to come. Chevy announced that they are going to come out with a full-size EV, heavy-duty EV pickup by 2035. So that's going to be interesting. But okay, guys, let's jump into the numbers and these. So this is the Ford F-150. It looks like an F-150 with a light bar. I think it's a handsome thing. I do like the look of it. It looks like a traditional pickup, right? Nothing fancy, nothing spaceship. It doesn't look like a Tesla Cybertruck. It just looks like a traditional Ford F-150. And I think this looks pretty cool, pretty interesting. You have the DC fast charging port there on the front left fender. And you have a light bar across the rear end. And you also have a light bar on the front. You have lightning lettering there on the side. I think it looks pretty good. The interior also, I'm not too familiar with the non-EV version of the F-150, so, if the normal F-150 has all of these features, let me know, but this seems to be the same screen as in the Mustang Mach-E, 15.5 inches, which is an okay infotainment system. It's been getting better and better. You have the physical, volume knob there in the middle. And, it just looks like a traditional F-150, just typical Ford interior. Pickup trucks aren't known for luxurious interiors. So, I mean, you can have them with leather, but they're still going to have, kind of cheap switchgear. Though this looks nice, this shifter. This looks pretty nice. Leather covered. Looks much nicer than in the Mach-E. But, usually... Oh, yeah, this is cool. You can collapse it down. That means you can have, you can put a laptop here on the center console. These are work vehicles primarily. So I think this is pretty interesting. Yeah, just, some interior bits here. Looks like the same switchgear as in the Mustang Mach-E. Sound system, that's pretty interesting. And then you have some power outlets here in the bed. You also have some bed lining on this particular model. Will it come standard with bed lining? I don't know, maybe. Yeah, so you have a power outlet here. This is 120 volts for the US market. Here in Europe, we're going to get 230 or 220. 20 amps, 2.4 kilowatts. So the F-150 comes standard with an onboard charger, which is 9.6 kilowatts, but it also has an onboard output charger that can send power out, and this is the plug. It can deliver 2.4 kilowatts. So in theory, and also probably in practice, you can charge another electric vehicle here at 2.4 kilowatts, and that is very, very interesting, because what we may see is that maybe like roadside services may purchase a few of these types of vehicles to help stranded people when they have their EV stranded next to the road. Imagine you're stranded and then you have to call a tow truck because your battery is empty, right? So you have the tow truck come, it has to do the whole dance where it has to lift you on top, tow you on top of the bed and drive you to the nearest charging station, and yada yada yada. Here, if you can deliver 2.4 kilowatts, that is 2.4 kilowatts per hour. So connecting that and just parking next to that and also charging it for an hour may be actually quicker both for the towing truck and for you. So this may be a viable option, and 2.4 kilowatts may get you close enough. It really just depends. So I mean, I'm just thinking off the top of my head here. People who work, in the companies who tow and do roadside services, assistance, may be thinking, you're an idiot, Chris. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there. So, okay, guys, we are 39 people watching the live stream today. Interesting. Quite not as many people as we usually are. Is it because the topic is not so interesting for people? Or some of my friends I spoke to last week didn't get the notification that there was a live stream. So if you guys want a notification, you have to hit that notification bell. You'll get a notification every time there is a live stream. So a friend of mine, he was like, oh, I didn't even know you were live streaming. So also hit that like button, guys. We are now at 25 likes. We're trying to get to 150 likes. That would be much, much appreciated. So these are, how's the charging network in the US? Yeah, is anybody from the US who can answer Lars Petter about the charging network? So this is interesting. Here we have, it looks like to be 4 power outlets. And then you have a USB-C and a USB-A connector there. This is the front. Ford F-150 is 150 liters, and there you have it towing a trailer. So I think the F-150 is a very handsome and inoffensive. It's like a traditional truck, and I think it's going to appeal to a lot of buyers. I really do like the front end. It's clean. That light bar design works really well. The large Ford logo in this red color, I think it looks pretty cool. Also in this like denim blue. Here you have a few different colors. I think it's a handsome truck. What do you guys think? Do you think it's a good looking truck? Let me know in the chat. This also has, the bed is 5.6 foot long. I think that's about 1.70 meters, a little bit less than 1.7 meters. And has a max payload of 900 kilos on the bed. That's about, what's that, like 1,800 pounds, 1,800, 1,900 pounds, 1,900 pounds, almost 2,000 pounds, 900, almost 1,000 kilos on the bed payload. So that's quite interesting. Yeah. So just a few photos here. I think that red looks pretty nice. You guys like the red? What's your favorite color? So let's take a look at the other one we have here, which is the Silverado. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this and close that. So here we have the Silverado EV, and this is an interesting thing. We're going to get into the stats soon enough, guys, but I just wanted to look at the photos, because this is a very different looking truck, and this is built on the Ultium platform. So this is a platform built from the ground up to be an electric car. The Ford F-150 is an ICE internal combustion engine platform, which has been converted to electric. This is a fully electric platform from the get-go, and looking at the rear haunches there, and also the profile of that C-pillar, this looks a little bit like that Hummer EV, and of course this probably is built on the same platform as the Hummer EV. I think the Hummer EV looks much more well, imposing, looks better. We're not going to talk about that today. I was thinking of talking about also the Hummer EV and also the Rivian RT R1T, but those are much more expensive. Both of these cars start at $39,900, so less than $40,000 for both the base F-150 and the Silverado EV. So the F-150 is going to come to market this year, and the Silverado EV next year, next spring. So about a year later than the F-150, but they both have a starting price of less than $40,000. JR, like I like that it looks like a normal car. Was that my comment or is that your comment? Paul Monkamp, of course, Tesla has the biggest network here, yeah, in the US. So the US network, what were people writing about the charging network in the US? Richard Sporer, trucks in general are more rural suburban vehicles. EV versions are useful as well as once the charging network in the US is made. Rural areas have to be charged. Residential areas have to be charged residentially. Rural areas have to be charged residentially. Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting because we're gonna get into the range of these cars in a bit, but these have big batteries. Both of these have big batteries. And again, you know, I don't live in the US. I have friends in the US, but imagine if you live in, I don't know, in Houston, if you live in, you know, somewhere in Texas, where maybe you're gonna do, maybe you have a ranch, maybe you're a builder, maybe you're driving 100 miles every day to and from a working site. You can charge at home. It's going to have enough miles to go back and forth, even with a load, even with towing. Ford have said that, you know, the range of Ford numbers is with a payload of 1,000 kilos, no, 1,000 pounds, I think, 500 kilos. Let's see. Braxton Rowe, I don't have an EV yet, but research shows that extremely few charger stations above 50 kilowatts. Yes, that is interesting in the Seattle area. Well, I mean, again, as there are more EVs coming to market, depending on, or doesn't matter which market, in your market, as more EVs come to market, there's going to be an incentive to build more chargers. So hopefully, once you get your, if you live in a country that gets to the point of Norway, where I'm well above 50% of car sales every year are EVs, there's going to be a charging network. In Norway, there has not been a, I mean, there has been some grants and promises from the government, but the charging networks in Norway are not, very few of them are actually public or government sponsored or built networks, charging stations. Most of them are private. Of course, you have Tesla, you have Ionity, you have companies like Evny Bilkraft, which is a sponsor here on the channel. You also have Med, you have Recharge. All of these companies are, you know, private companies. And Norway is kind of a testing bay and testing bed to just see how to build out a charging network. So once it gets cheaper, more efficient, and all of that, it's going to be easier to build charging networks around the world. I'm not too worried about that. So let me know, guys, what do you think? Do you like the F-150 better or the Silverado? I think the F-150 is very good looking, but there's something about this Silverado. It just looks cool. You know, do you guys remember a popular car here in the 2000s was the Chevrolet Avalanche? This kind of looks like the Avalanche a bit. And yeah, so this has the charging port on the rear 3/4 at the end of the bed on the left side. So both on the driver's side. This in this trim, this is the RST, I think, which is going to be very expensive. This is not a $39,000 version. This is going to be $105,000. There hasn't been dropped too much information on the Silverado EV yet, while on the F-150 Lightning we have a lot of information. So the payload here is less. I think it's 600 kilos versus 900 plus kilos on the F-150. Towing on both is about 10,000 pounds. But the bed on this is longer. So this has a convertible bed. So first off, just the bed within the normal sizing is about 5'10", so about a little less than 1.8 meters. And then you can fold down the wall between the bed and the rear seats to get as much as, I think, like within the bed it's 9 feet, and then you can fold down the rear what's that called? The rear lid, the rear entry. I'm blanking here now. You can fold the rear door on the bed, and you get almost like you get how many, 10 feet something? 10 feet. It's insane. So this is, has that big frunk also, though I don't think it's as big as in the F-150. I haven't seen any numbers yet. And also here, this has an 18-inch something screen, infotainment screen. It's really big, it's really huge. At some point it's a bit too big. I even think the 15.5 in the Mustang Mach-E is a little bit too big. But the F-150 being a bigger car, and you're probably going to sit a little bit further away from that screen, I think it's going to fit very well. But this screen is just huge. This looks a little bit more sporty, a little bit less pickup-y, but I think it looks cool. I do like the look of it. I don't know. I like them both. I like this, the wireless charging pad right there below the center console on an angle against the driver behind the cup holders with tailgate. Thank you so much, Eric Mathisen. Tailgate. It's called the tailgate. And then you have, is that the midgate, the one you have from the bed and then to the rear seat? Yeah, that might, maybe. Okay, so we have a few new people watching here. We are now at 56 people on the live stream. We're at 33 likes, so thank you so much for dropping by. Today we're talking about the F-150 Lightning versus the new Silverado EV. Two heavyweights in the pickup world that now are going to be released, come to market as electric versions. So that is pretty cool. So guys, hit that like button also, and if you aren't subscribed, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. That is much appreciated. So we're looking at the Silverado here, and I like the fact that this has, physical buttons for the HVAC. You can see there you have dual zone climate with a rotating knob for the interior temperature, and then you have some hard buttons there for, which looks like to be the front defroster, rear defroster, fan speed, and also auto. So that's pretty cool. Dual USB-C ports there, and then also wireless charging pad. Morris Comitini, the F-150 has always been the same for years and years. Yes, I think it's always been the more traditional truck, like where the Silverado has been tried to do something a bit different in the styling department. The F-150 has just been the the F-150 is the Golf of hatchbacks, like where the F-150 is the the obvious choice in the US, the Volkswagen Golf is the obvious choice here in Europe. And then you have like the Silverado is like a little bit of a different choice. You have the Ram, and you could probably compare that to the Ford Focus here. And then, I don't know, second place Peugeot 308, Renault Megane, Skoda Octavia. I mean, there are a lot of players in that marketplace. You have heated rear seats, you have dual cup holders there for the rear seats, and then you have some HVAC vents here. So that's pretty cool, dual USB-C ports. These are both crew cabs, or are they? Yeah, crew cabs. So they have 4 doors. Extended cab would be like with the suicide doors. These are crew cabs, so you have 4 full doors, meaning also that the rear cab is longer and yeah, spacious, as you can see from these photos. Will there be smaller versions, like only a single cab and stuff like that, and a short bed? That would be really cool, like getting a sports version and stuff like that. But for now, these are going to be, bigger trucks and also more expensive. Cool digital gauge cluster there. It's pretty interesting, that Ford and Chevy are now making these full-size electric trucks that are electric. Full-size electric trucks. It really means that they are really serious about this EV thing. And, Tesla have been talking about and showing the Cybertruck. It's kind of interesting that these are probably going to come to market before Tesla come to market with a Cybertruck. Morris Comitini, here in Italy is the Fiat Panda. Fiat Panda trucks, yeah, they're cool. I mean, they have all kinds of pickups here in Norway also. You have small pickups like that. You have Iveco pickups. But, these big American pickups have usually been quite popular here. So in profile, I think the Silverado looks pretty darn cool. I like this blue color. Of course, this is the RST trim, which is going to be the most expensive version. But here you have the base trim. So the Silverado starts at $39,900 as the WT, work truck. And this is probably what it's going to look like with non-painted bumpers front and rear, non-painted fender flares and mirrors, and steel wheels. To me, I like these bare bones trucks. There's something about the charm about it just being a tool. I do like that. But of course, you can spec them up and you can get nicer versions. But this cheapest version one is going to have, according to Chevy, all of these trucks are going to have a peak charging speed of 350 kilowatts, which is insane. The F-150 has a peak charging speed of 150 kilowatts. So Ford say that 56 miles of range can be gained in 10 minutes, but Chevy say that 100 miles of range can be gained in 10 minutes. That's probably due to that charging speed. So it will be really interesting to see that charging curve. I hope that Ford with the Lightning has a flat charging curve, unlike the Mustang Mach-E, which just peaks for about 2 minutes and it drops down. Well, it's kind of flat, but it's not at 150 kilowatts. It's more like at 116 kilowatts after like a minute or two. So let's talk a few stats here. So the F-150 is the one that's closest to coming to market. It will come in a standard range version, starts at right under $40,000, and should have 432 horsepower, 370 kilometers of range, or 230 miles of range according to Ford. And these are kind of conservative numbers from Ford because this should be with a payload, according to rumors, of 1,000 pounds. So, like, how much will that be in the real world? How much will the EPA numbers be? Well, we're not sure. The battery pack size in that standard range should be 98 kilowatt hours net, or maybe at around 110 kilowatt hours gross. So it's going to be bigger than the battery pack in the Mach-E, which is 99 kilowatt hours gross, and it's like almost 90 now net after they unlocked a little bit more battery capacity. So hopefully we should be getting, in theory, if this battery pack chart is both of these are 400 volt architectures charging at 2C, it should be able to do 150 kilowatts flat from just about 0 to 80%. If you can do that, it's going to be a really good real world application of charging, because you'll be able to use more of the chargers. I'm all for faster charging, but like something like the Hyundai Ioniq 5, which peaks at 225, it's not at 225 throughout the whole charging curve. And tests I have done, 10 to 80%, show that the average speed from 10 to 80 is just as good or just as bad, depending on how you want to look at it, as an Audi e-tron 55, which peaks at 150 kilowatts. But because that e-tron 55 has a flat charging curve, it can just charge. It's all about that average speed, right? So even though it's only on a 400 volt architecture, that e-tron 55, they charge about as quick from 10 to 80%. The F-150 can also be had in an ER, or extended range, that has 571 horsepower, and range jumps from 370 kilometers to 483, so about 110 kilometers more, or 300 miles. And again, that's probably with that 1,000-pound payload, and that car has a net battery capacity of 131 kilowatt hours, or maybe gross at around 145 to 150. Again, in theory, that should be able to charge at like 200 kilowatts flat. So it's interesting that they have, chosen to limit the speed to 150 kilowatts. Is that because they are, trying to conserve the battery as much as possible? Because these are going to be, work trucks? I'm not sure. That's kind of interesting. So then we have the Silverado, which starts with the WT work truck. That has 510 horsepower. And according to Chevy, it does not have 370 kilometers of range as the base 1 F-50 Lightning. It has 643 kilometers of range, which is 250 kilometers more, which is insane. But again, these are just claims, so we'll have to see when we see the EPA numbers, when we get to test these cars in the real world. But even either way, guys, that is pretty impressive. Or Siri just like, I don't know why Siri thought I was speaking to Siri. And then you have so 643 kilometers or 400 miles of range. And then you have the RST. So these are the only two versions that have been, revealed. The work truck, and then you have the RST, which starts at $105,000, which should be, the top of the line model with 664 horsepower and 0 to 100 kilometers, 0 to 60 miles an hour in 4.5 seconds. And that same, 643 kilometer range, which is just insane. It's just insane. So, what do you guys think? Do you guys like these trucks? Do you think that they're too big, too brash? I'm interested in knowing. Richard Spores, payload on both is going to be smaller than usual. Yeah, so payload is smaller because of the weight of these things, right? That's my guess. Like the tires, the wheels, all the components can only go up to a certain weight, can be only rated. And since these are like almost 3 tons dry, it's going to limit the payload. So that's the only limiting factor. But of course, again, if you just need the most payload, this is probably not the car for you or the truck for you. But I think both of these are going to appeal to about 95% of buyers who at least, buy pickup trucks as their personal vehicle and may not even use them as, work trucks. Let's see. Oh, Braxton Rowe, thank you so much for the donation, $20. Again, guys, if you want to ask me a specific question, pops up here in the chat that I will spend some time on. You can hit that super chat button down below. It is much appreciated. So thank you very much. And also, guys, let's get to 50 likes. We're only at 36 likes. Braxton Rowe, do you think Chevy has an advantage with having EVs like the Bolt for years, or Ford with a better EV in the Mustang Mach-E? I don't know. I think it is interesting because I think these EVs, are developed independent from each other. I'm not too sure if, Chevy have used any of that R&D into the, the Silverado, but they may. And also it's kind of interesting that Ford, built a from the ground up EV with the Mach-E, chose to do, use the F-150 nameplate to do an ICE conversion, and Silverado or Chevy are actually doing a ground up EV. I think that's very, very interesting. Ford with a better EV in the Mustang Mach-E. Yeah, so that's interesting also because, what EVs do Chevy have? The Bolt, the Opel Ampera. Isn't that the same car, Bolt and Ampera E? I mean, they have not been popular here in Europe. I don't know if they've been popular across the pond, but the Mustang Mach-E is like a so much better car and a more popular car. So I think that's an interesting question, Braxton. I don't know if I have, a specific answer there. Yeah. Abraxas, check out uBlock add-on to get rid of ads. Okay, you guys don't like ads? Save on auto parts from Amazon. Okay, so I mean, it looks like that the Chevy are really going after, and this is the charging speed, which seems to be the big charging speed, and range seems to be the big advantage of that Silverado. So on paper, it looks like Chevy won before even the Ford hit the market, which is really, really interesting. But is there room for Ford now, again, with that big battery pack? Again, you have these, what's called a C rating in charging. So if you have a 400 volt electric system, you can usually charge at up to 2C relatively safely. I mean, for battery health, right? That means if you have a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack, 2C would be multiplying that by 2. So 100 kilowatt hours multiplied by 2 is 200 kilowatt hours. So charge 200 kilowatt hours in 1 hour is a charging speed of 200 kilowatts. It's pretty, straightforward. Once you get an 800 volt architecture, you can go 3C or even more than that, like my Audi e-tron GT, which I actually sold today. So congratulations to myself. That had a charging speed of 3.2C. So 270 kilowatts on an 85 kilowatt hour battery pack is about 3.2C. That's an 800 volt architecture. Audi e-tron, big Audi e-tron, does a flat charging curve. It's 85 point, let's see, it's 150 kilowatts divided by 86 is about 1.7C, right? The Audi e-tron 55 can charge at 1.7C, but flat from 0 to 80 kilowatts. So at least in theory, if Chevy had pushed Ford now to up the speed, in theory, if the battery chemistry is good enough, if the components are rated good enough, of good enough quality, that 98 kilowatt hour battery pack could in theory charge at 167 kilowatts, at least peak speed, relatively flat from 0 to maybe 40-50% with no problems at all. Maybe they could push that, depending on the battery chemistry, to 50, 60, maybe 70%. But I think that would be a huge improvement. And again, that peak charging speed of that Chevy of 350 kilowatts, and should be an 800 volt architecture, right? Now that I'm thinking about it, because it can charge at 350 kilowatts. That really does make sense. I really think that is actually an 800 volt architecture. But if we look at the extended range 131 kilowatt hours, multiply that by 1.7C, we suddenly have 222 kilowatts of charging speed. So if they can do that flat, I don't think, that peak number necessarily will mean much faster charging speed. And also, like half of the testing we do here is in the cold. So having, an EV that can, preheat the battery, even when it's relatively mild outside, preheating the battery will give you more of that charging speed. Like Kia EV6 and Hyundai Ioniq 5 have this nice peak charging speed on paper, but getting it in the real world isn't as easy. So that's what I'm talking about here, guys. I think that is very, very, very interesting. Lars Petter, who will import it to Norway? I mean, Ford will import the Ford, and Chevy will probably import the Chevy, right? Yeah. Samuel D. Payload is a bit little. Cybertruck has enough for it. Has enough, but it looks hideous. Cybertruck isn't the real car, guys. Seriously, these are real cars that we're talking about, details like how many power outlets, we're talking about screen size, we're talking about USB-C ports, we're talking about trim and colors, we're talking about pricing in different variants. These are production-ready cars. The Ford is coming to market this year. You can go and order one now. The Chevy is coming next year, in a year. Cybertruck, I really don't believe Cybertruck is coming to market at all. I may be wrong there. It's not coming soon. What happened to the Roadster, revealed a few years ago? Even they had to pull the plug on the Plaid, what's it called? The Plaid Plus? Plaid Plus, yeah, with the 4860 cells, which just it's not coming to market. So, I mean, all of these Tesla cars, and I'm not hating on Tesla, this is just a reality. You can go back in time. All of these facts and models coming to market aren't here yet. So Cybertruck, nice concept, but until we actually, get pricing, even it took like 2 years to get the Model Y here in Europe. We just got the Model Y in Europe like a few months ago, 3, 4, 5 months ago. Cybertruck, if it's going to happen, it's a really long way away. So, Cybertruck has enough. Cybertruck's not a real car. Sorry, we're talking about real cars here. I don't mean to be mean there, Samuel, but that's just the truth. Brian Fenwick, I think both the F-150 and Silverado are looking good and will be well accepted in the 4x4 truck market. The more options there are, the better. Obviously, quad motor Cybertruck is going to be exceptional. Again, I believe it when I see it. Lars Petter, 90 to 100,000 for a truck is insane. Yes, but that's what people are paying. I mean, a fully specced out, I don't know, maybe not maybe paying 100, but I think like a fully specced out F-150 or a Silverado or a Ram is going to be close to 100. Here you're getting the state-of-the-art, the EVs. Hummer EV starts at 108K. I think that's a very interesting car. It's a different car than this. I really hope they rejuvenate the Hummer brand as an EV, like come with like full-fledged model range. That would be really, really cool. Brexton, the Bolt is fairly popular in the States, says the US sales increased by 26%, even though GM overall sales fell by... interesting. Yeah. Let's see. NY. The General Motor EV1 was an electric car produced by... Yes. Obviously, Chevy has the upper hand when it comes to... Yeah, I don't think a lot of that research and development from the EV1 in '96 has made it anywhere. Like, they didn't make EVs for 15 years after that, so I think that's kind of hidden, lost technology there. Brian Fenwick, Hummer EV, the whole Solarity 1 GM sold as part of their 26 EV sold lately, when I doubt the Hummer will be a challenge to any manufacturer too heavy. Okay. Interesting take. A.M. Ruger, Cybertruck is vaporware. Any intel on the Rivian will be... I have no idea. So I think like the interesting players in the market, you know, if we're going to talk about pickup trucks, Rivian, R1T, F-150 Lightning, and Silverado EV. These are three real cars. Rivian is here. F-150 is here very soon, and the Silverado is here next year. So I think all of these are super interesting. And, you know, usually driving a big pickup truck is, you know, a bit too much. You know, if you have it with a big, you know, gas engine, a big V8, it's a gas guzzler, uses a lot of, you know, energy, uses a lot of gasoline. So I think, of course, these are going to be, you know, heavy on the electric consumption, but just having them electric. And if every pickup owner can move into electric, that's going to save so much energy. Remember, guys, an internal combustion engine, especially a gasoline engine, turns about 30% of its energy in the fuel goes to propelling the car forward. The rest, about 70%, in some cases even more, is lost in heat. So imagine you have to refine the oil, even if you use... Okay, we're going to start here. We're going to start at the power plant. So you have a power plant that runs on gasoline, right? So even if you had a power plant that ran on gasoline, to produce electricity, that same fuel has to be transported to a gas station. So you're gonna use a lot of energy transporting that fuel in trucks, on boats, whatever it is, in pipes to a fuel station, right? And then once you fill it up into the car, about 70% of that energy is going to dissipate into heat. So just having electricity produced at the point where they, you know, even with that 30% loss, right? Even with that 30% loss, you could do it much more efficient, right? You can heat scavenge in a power plant much better. You could probably get an efficiency of 40, maybe 50%, right? You're already doing better. But then again, you don't have to transport it in the same way. So even if like there are all of these arguments for, you know, people who are opposed to EVs, but even if you take the same energy production and everybody just drives an electric car is so much more efficient. So I think this is a good thing. Abrax says, will Volkswagen have a truck based on the F-150 in exchange of corporation? Are they doing a cooperation? Will Volkswagen have a truck based on the F-150 in exchange of cooperation on MAB? Are you asking if they could do an exchange, or has it been announced that Ford are going to use the MAB platform? And then Volkswagen could use other Ford platforms? That would be interesting. Is that confirmed anywhere? That could be very interesting. I don't know if that's real or if that's just. Let me know. I'm really interested because that's kind of interesting. Have we gone through all of the things here, guys? It doesn't look like today's topic was very popular. We're only 50 people watching the live stream, which is a little bit disappointing, but I do appreciate all of you guys who are watching. Usually we have been at like 150, at least more than 100 people. So I thought this was going to be an interesting topic, but apparently not. People don't think that these are interesting. I thought this was very interesting, but okay. But I don't know. It seems like what do you guys think? F-150 or Silverado? What's your favorite? Anybody? EVs are better than ICE cars, no doubt. Yeah, I mean, EVs are better in so many ways except for sound and sensation and drama, right? If you want a sports car experience, like with the sound, with the smell, with the vibrations, that's going to be better in an internal combustion engine car. No doubt, of course. But for everything else, for pickup trucks, SUVs, for everything else, EVs are so much better. This week I'm driving a Volvo C40, pretty cool. And it's so refined and beautiful to drive. I just like driving it around, like, because it's so quiet and comfortable. It's a really nice thing. Abrax says, Europe is not a big pickup market. Sure. And of course, we're doing this in Central European time. If we're doing this a little bit later, we'll probably have more of the US viewers. Paul Monkamp, Rivian, but I'm not a truck guy. Okay, good to know. EV people are usually not truck people, but hopefully with these EVs, we will be getting a lot more people into EVs, because I think that's, what we all want is for as much people as possible to get into EVs, because this is going to be beneficial for everybody. First off, we're going to, use less energy, right? Moving all of the transportation from gasoline cars, from diesel cars into electric vehicles is going to be better for the environment. More sales, a bigger market for vehicles, means that there's going to be more models to choose from, competition is going to be even better, and technology is going to be pushed forward. And that also means that more EVs means more investment into infrastructure. Better batteries, larger batteries, lighter batteries, faster charging batteries, better preheating technology, better heat management. All of this is going to, at one point, I don't know, I think in 10 years we have come a really long way. Back in 2012, the Model S was just debuting. I was working in the car parts industry, wheels and tires also, and Teslas were just hitting the market 2012. Or maybe the first models came like 2012, 2013. We're talking about the Tesla Model S60 and also the 85. Amazing cars for that time. Real world range. But now, only 10 years later, we are talking about mainstream cars like a Ford F-150 and a Chevy Silverado with allegedly, almost 500 kilometers of range, 600 kilometers plus, and starting at $40,000. If you would have told me this 10 years ago, I would not have believed you. If I would have told anybody, who's into cars or pickup trucks, like in 10 years, you're going to be able to buy a fully electric Ford F-150 with a 400-liter frunk. You're going to be able to connect all your appliances. You're going to be able to go 500 kilometers, tow 10,000 pounds, payload of a ton. No one would, they would have like looked at you like you're crazy. So imagine where we are in 5 years, in 10 years. I'm really excited. I think this is super, super cool. So let's read a few more comments. I think we're gonna round off here at an hour because I've talked about whatever I want to talk about, guys. We scrolled through most of the pictures here. I'm I like the F-150. I started this live stream with liking the F-150 better, but I'm leaning towards the Silverado. And here you have the bed configuration where you can, fold down the rear wall there, and you can, have 10 foot and 10 inches. Amazing. Yeah, this is really cool. I think this is a super cool vehicle. Real utility vehicle. So here we have okay, so we went too far now. So, okay, now let's close this, and let's do this. Okay. So guys, thank you so much for watching. We're gonna round off here pretty soon. We're gonna see if we have a few more questions. Volvo Christian is here. Spoiler alert, it doesn't look like the F-150 will come to Norway. The US sales have been insane, so several years of delivery estimations. Yeah. So I hope it will come to market. They will ramp up production. I mean, it's pretty... I don't think they were expecting this to be as popular, which speaks more to the market having a positive response. That can only mean, that can only be a good thing. That means that hopefully also Ram, the Stellantis owned company is going to do an electric Ram. We're going to get more electric pickup trucks, both small and big. And I like big vehicles. I have a lot of large SUVs. I have not had a large pickup, but several friends of mine growing up, a good friend of mine had a Silverado 1500. Another friend of mine had a F-250. So I'm a fan of those huge cars, and they're fun, at least, when you were young, doing, fun stuff as young boys or males do. We had a lot of fun. So one time I think my friend filled up the bed with water and like a hot tub in summer. Pretty awesome. But I think that's a classic. I don't think he's the only one who's done that. Braxton, the people that will buy EV pickups are those that use them for daily drivers and local toy job sites. Yeah, I think so. I think that's the start. And then once people start using them and they can see that they actually have real world application, you can use them without problems, and more chargers will be built. We're talking probably about the US here, because Braxton, you lived in Seattle area, right? Or am I just confused there? But that means that more and more people are going to buy these pickups, and you're going to build out the charging network. So I think it's pretty cool. Volvo Christian, excited about the Rivian. Yes, Rivian is pretty exciting. I think it's a little bit more expensive, starting at like $67,000. But again, that's probably going to have, more kit. So maybe not that much more expensive than a comparatively, performance and battery pack size and equipment size to the F-150 and also Silverado. Seattle area, yes. Okay, yes, Braxton. Great. Brian Fenwick, Silverado will easily be the easiest to live with and trip with due to much faster charging. It is good choice, but depends on people's individual factors. Yeah, I can't wait to test these in the real world. I think they're going to be awesome. And in my experience, if you can get 400 kilometers, what's that? 300 miles? No. 250 miles, right? Of real world motorway range, that is enough for most people. Most people. Of course, there's going to be people who want to go like 7 or 8 hours, but what F-150 or Silverado with an internal combustion engine can go 400 kilometers or 250 miles on a tank of fuel? Is that even possible? I mean, they are not the best on fuel. So will it really be a huge difference? Like, I drove the EQS here at Christmas time, could go 400 kilometers on the motorway in -degrees Celsius. I don't think a normal S-Class with a gasoline engine car could do much better. Maybe 450, but the difference is not big. So yeah. Ross is from Norvegia. No, I'm from Norway actually. Norvegia is a cheese here. Okay, so guys, we are at an hour now. We're going to round off this rather not that popular topic, to my surprise, but I do appreciate all of you guys for watching, and hopefully we're going to do the next live stream on Sunday. So comment once this video is done. What do you want me to talk about in next week? We're not going to talk about pickup trucks. Hopefully I'll pick a popular topic so we get, you know, the views up to what they usually have been. So guys, I thank you so much for watching, and also thank you so much for the donations I've gotten in this video. It's really appreciated. It makes this worthwhile. And yeah, so guys, thank you so much for watching. And so how do I usually do this? So yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's live stream. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below. And for more car content, as always guys, please subscribe. See you guys later, and goodbye.